Hello everybody and welcome to Tiger Tells the Lost Stories, a place you'll find stories and fanfictions written and read to you by your host, me, Tiger. In this channel you'll find all stories and fanfictions in the first person perspective, and I try to twist the form of the word fanfiction. Welcome to Before Dead Became a Doctor, a prequel to a story on the original Tiger Tales channel. On Tiger Tales, I write a story called War Against Gotham, which is a story revolving around my Marvel and DC collabed universe, where Nightwing is the leader of the new Bat Group. And one of their villains is a character called Dr. Dead, a schizophrenic who has multiple voices and has taken the reins after the Joker. But this story is the prequel to that, and we find out exactly how Dr. Dead became who he is today. This is the second chapter, and the first chapter does explain a lot of how this story comes to be, so you might want to go check out that first. And of course, straight after this, you can go listen to War Against Gotham on the Tiger Tales channel. So, let's dive in with Before Dead Became a Doctor, Chapter 2, 2 years later. I stood in the bathroom in shock, my hands still stained in blood. I saw my eyes, but they weren't my eyes. Someone was staring at me, but I was alone in the room.
No, you are not. You are not alone. I told you. I would look after us. I sorted out our parents, didn't I? They are all okay now.
The voice barked at me. I looked closer. Someone was there. My eyes and my skull were not my eyes.
I am you. Kind of. I am also your friend. Your protector.
The voice said. Who are you? I muttered out loud.
I am, let's say, a part of you. I am you, but I'm also am me.
The voice chuckled. Where are you? I asked, still looking into my own eyes. I stood there confused, my mind raced. I looked down at my blood-soaked hands.
I wouldn't wash your hands if I was you. Blood can be traced, but so can fingerprints. You touch anything, and we are screwed. And I did not save you for you to fuck it all up.
The voice demanded. I pulled my hands away from the mirror. We need to leave, don't we? I asked bluntly.
Yes. Pack a bag, quick, only the essentials.
The voice ordered. I then bolted into my room, and I grabbed my school rucksack and I started shoving in clothes. I also grabbed my flashlight, my MP3 player, and my metal water bottle. I then ran downstairs and threw on my shoes and bolted out of the door and started running. And I kept running. I found myself on a well-known street to me. I could see Uncle Ron's house. I walked up to it, my body needed to catch my breath. I walked up to the door and knocked. I then noticed that I left blood on the door. I looked to my left, I could see the sun slowly rising. I almost forgot it was early hours in the morning. Finally the door opened and Uncle Ron looked at me in horror. His mouth dropped open. Shock took hold of him. Corny, what the bloody hell happened? Uncle Ron blurted. Mum. Dad. I managed to say to him. Alright boy, come in here. Uncle Ron knelt down and hugged me. The next few hours were a blur. I was washed. I didn't like the smell of Uncle Ron's soap though. But nevertheless I was cleaned, including my blood-soaked hands. Then I was placed in clean clothes. It had some point dawned on me that I was still in my pajamas when I arrived. Uncle Ron was on the phone for a while. I think he might have had called a police officer to investigate the house. He told them I didn't answer any of his questions and he thought I was in shock. Then he tried calling my mother. Then he tried calling someone else. Then he made me a hot chocolate and I took it and slowly sipped on it. I then woke up, it must have been a few hours, as I saw the sun had moved across the sky dramatically. Hey buddy, tomorrow when you go down to the police station, okay? But I told them you can rest for now and you eat something, Uncle Ron said. He placed down a plate of chicken curry and rice in front of me. I made it yesterday. I hope it's nice. Uncle Ron grinned at me as he sat next to me. I picked up the plate and picked up the fork. It took me a hot minute, but I did eat it all. I then fell back to sleep. Not long after. The next day, Uncle Ron called the construction site and he told his crew that he couldn't make it that day, as his nephew was in need. They all saw me as his nephew, as Uncle Ron wasn't actually my uncle. He then drove to the police station and I was sat next to the dark-skinned woman who stared at me while she asked me questions. Cornelia, sweetheart, I need you to tell me exactly what happened that night before last, okay? Step by step. Walk me through it, the officer asked me.
Don't tell the truth. Lie.
The voice in my head said again. I looked at the officer, the confusion written on my face.
I told you to lie. Now say what I say.
The voice barked.
I woke up to a bunch of noise. I walked down the stairs to find Mum and Dad bleeding, all messed up looking. I tried shaking them, but I didn't get a response. Then I grabbed my stuff. I ran for Uncle Ron's house. Thought it would be
I woke up
the
to a bunch of noise.
option. He is always
I walked
telling
down
me
the stairs to
I
find
can
Mum and
go
Dad
to him
bleeding,
for whatever
all messed up
reason.
looking. I tried to shake them, but I didn't get a response. Then I grabbed my stuff and I ran for Uncle Ron's house. Thought it would have been the safest option. He was always telling me I had to go to him for whatever reason. I told the officer, repeating the voice in my head word for word. The officer noted everything I said. She told me I was brave and strong, that Uncle Ron told the officer that I could stay with him for now. The officer asked me if that was okay with me, and I said yes. I ended up living with Ron for 2 years. 2 years later. I woke up, puberty had hit me like a Japanese bullet train. The voice in my head was still there. He spoke to me like a friend, like a friendly neighbour. He told me his name a few months after he killed mother and father. His name was Agony. I climbed out of bed and I headed down the stairs. I saw Uncle Ron getting ready for work. Hey, Connie, you okay? He asked me. Fine, thanks, Uncle Ron, I replied. Then he hugged me and headed for the door. Hey, how about we get a pizza after school? Uncle Ron called out as I walked into the kitchen, leaving him to get his coat. Yeah, sure, sounds great, I called back. Alright, kiddo, I gotta head to work. Bye, Uncle Ron yelled. I poured the cereal into the bowl and suddenly Agony's voice rang in my head.
Free to talk at last.
Agony chimed. Hey, don't bark at me, you know the rule. Not around Uncle Ron, I snapped.
All right, Mr. Crocodile, where is your smile?
He asked me. Whatever, come on, we better go, I muttered as I poured my milk into the bowl and I started eating as fast as I could. I got to the school via the bus and thankfully today it was on time. I got to the school 5 minutes to spare. I walked up to the main door and someone grabbed me by the shoulder and I was shoved into the wall. I looked at my attacker to see Donnie Ranshaw, the high school jerk. Hello, freak, Danny grinned.
Let me punch him, rip his teeth out, bite his fingers off, and stuff him up his nose. Hell, let's bite his nose off. Have a Chav Voldemort running about.
Agony barked in my head. Shut it, I muttered. Who are you talking to, freak? You're always talking to yourself, ain't you? Danny said in my face, in close proximity to mine. I was talking to your mother's fat face, I barked back. Danny then punched me across the jaw. I dropped to the floor. Danny swung his foot and it collided into my stomach, then again in the chest.
Well,
Agony asked me. Yeah, alright, do it. My eyes fluttered as Agony took over.
I grabbed onto the boy's foot and bit into it. I then climbed to my knees and rammed my fist into the boy's scrotum. He howled like a horny wolf. I then punched him right in his mouth. Blood splattered across the ground. I then stood up and grabbed the pathetic lad by the hair and rammed his brainless head against the door. The glass cracked on impact. Apparently, there was something in his head heavy enough to break something that thick. I then rammed his head against the door again and again. Blood started running down the door. The school bell rang, and some students saw me. I then dropped the idiot on the floor, his face now all messed up. I then ran away and headed for Ron's house. When I stumbled into the house, I let Cornelius take over.
I took over my body once again. I slammed the door behind me as I entered the house. I ran upstairs and sat on my bed. "You shouldn't have done that. You went too hard on him," I muttered.
I should have gone harder. Think about the names he calls us, the insults, like chainsaw teeth, sinking into our confidence. They mention mother all the time.
Agony snapped. "Yeah, okay, I get it," I snapped back. Then I heard the door slam. "Oi, Tawny, are you home?" Uncle Ron shouted. "Yeah," I called out and dragged my feet back downstairs. "Why is the school calling me? Telling me that you got to put a boy in the hospital? Something on the likes of you smashed his face in?" Uncle Ron barked at me. He pushed me to it," I muttered. "He bullies you?" Uncle Ron asked. I nodded slowly. Uncle Ron sighed and sat down, hanging his head. "That does not make fucking up this kid okay, man," Uncle Ron sighed. "I'm sorry," I muttered. "Hey, it's okay. We need to figure something out," Ron sighed. "I got suspended at school for a long time, so I found stuff to do. I started drawing, started writing, and one of the other things I enjoyed was walking. I walked through a car park when suddenly a car came halting towards me. Someone climbed out of the car and walked up to me. They had a gun in their hand. They walked closer, their face was all cut up and stitched together. Then I noticed who it was. It was Danny. "Oh, you freak! 'Cause of you I lost everything. My girl, my friends, everyone keeps laughing at me, saying the lonely freak got the upper hand on me. Hell, the lads kicked me off the football team," Danny roared, waving the gun around. Whoa, easy now," I said awkwardly. "Easy? You fucked me up," Danny yelled at me.
Let me take over. Let me dance with the dimwit before you get us into trouble.
Agony roared in my head. Danny aimed the pistol, his hand shaking, then he pulled the trigger. I dived to one side, but the bullet caught me in the shoulder. I called out in pain as I held my wound, blood soaked my hand. Quick, I looked at my hand and I had flashback to my 12th birthday.
Let me rip off his foreskin. If he doesn't have one, I'll take skin off of his fat head and make one, sew it on, and then rip it off.
Agony yelled in my head. "Yeah, okay, do it, but no foreskins. And don't kill him," I grunted through the pain. Then Agony took over once more.
I jumped to my feet. Danny took another step forward. I ignored the pain, and I grabbed the gun. I yanked it from his scared little fingers. Then I backhanded him in the face. He stood there, his mouth wide open. He then tried to run at me, rage swelling in him. Pathetic little excuse of life. Anyone with a brain can see he is running at me, blind, not thinking. I grabbed his fist, then I headbutted him in the face. I then aimed the gun, and I pulled the trigger, aiming at his legs. Blood exploded from his knees. He screamed out in pain and fell to the floor crying. I kneeled down to him. He looked at me with fear in his face. "Stay away from us." Ran away. "Kill yourself. I don't care how you do it, but I want you fucked up face never to be seen again." I screamed at him. Then I left him there. I shoved the gun in my pocket, and I held on to my gun wound, and I stumbled home. Eventually, I had to let Cornelius take over.
I took over the body. The pain in my arm was absolutely murderous. My entire arm was like it was on fire. I didn't want Ron finding out and seeing me covered in blood again. I knew he had a medical kit in the garage, so I thought I'd go find it. I could learn how to use it quick. I managed to get into the garage and open the side door was a tricky challenge. I stumbled in and located the med kit on a shelf. I tried to open it, but the pain in my arm numbed my hand so much it was out of order. I tried to open the med kit, but I couldn't. The pain crippled me, and I dropped to the floor, tears filling my eyes. I tried again and again, but the pain was too much. Blood was dripping onto the floor. I sat there when suddenly a voice rang in my head. A different voice.
Hello? Are you listening? Hello?
The voice said in my head. It was not agony.
If you stop ignoring me, I could help you here.
The voice said again. Who are you? Where is agony? I asked out loud.
Don't worry, he is still here. I am Eric, and I am a trained field medic. I have experiences that can help you in your little dilemma here.
The voice that called himself Eric told me. I had no choice but to trust him. Okay, so what do I do? I asked him. Eric then helped me sew up my bullet wound. And there we have it, guys. Another installment of Before Dead Became a Doctor. Agony is voiced by Mark, the Red Cornish Ranger. He also voices one of the voices in Dr. Dead's head in War Against Gotham. He has a podcast called Notes for Comics, where he adapts comic books and writes his own stories into audio dramas and uploads them onto Notes for Comics. He also associates some of my stories, and I'm also going to be starting uploading my own stories into Universe 20, which is his own parent universe, which is hosted on Notes for Comics, so you might want to go check him out. Eric, the last voice you heard, is voiced by Cosplay Dude 67. He also uploads stories and fanfictions and uploads them onto 3 different podcasts, which are Parent Universe 19 and Storytime with Cosplay Dude 67. I upload stories on both of them as well, and there's also Cinnamon Ian. He's also got a huge channel called Nostalgia Time, which he does the same thing, and I'll also be uploading stories up there as well. We are the 3 Ranger Bros. You might want to go check us out. We're in association to, of course, Zero to Hero, so you might want to go listen to them. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Also subscribe to Tiger Tales, the original place I upload stories and fanfictions. You can listen to War Against Gotham there, and many other Marvel, DC, Power Rangers, and all the lot. And of course, there's a brand new Tiger Tales channel called Tiger Tales Game Over. This is where I upload stories and fanfictions, but they're all revolved around video game storylines. So go check that out as well. That being said, thank you all for listening, and I shall see you guys in the next video.
I should have gone harder. I should have gone hard. There. That sounded so wrong.